Thank you all. Appreciate your time. We're going to be kind of reviewing some concepts and also going over nothing really new, but just kind of clarification. So what you will want to know specifically is that we're going to be using the Student Learner Outcome Achievement Matrix, which you have been emailed by Karina today. There's an extra computer up here. Someone needs to sit at a computer. Okay. And you won't need to be using your computers right now anyway, so don't worry about it. We will figure it out when the time comes. So just so you know, just for transparency, I'm recording this because I'm applying to be an AP consultant. So just FYI. Don't worry about it. It's not about you. So don't worry. Okay, so it is about you in the end. The recording is not about you. Okay, so we're going to look at our learner outcomes more specifically as we are coming up to our quarter 2 report cards. And really thinking about what the learner outcomes mean with regards to our overall grades, our overall vision. So first and foremost, I want you to think about product versus process. So just quickly, just take a minute and think about the grades that we give our students. And what are the product grades and what are the process grades? Just take a minute to think about it, and then I would love to get a volunteer. Anybody want to venture a guess? Yeah, Lisa?
So in kindergarten, process might be getting along with each other,
Okay.
working together,
Mm-hmm.
their ability to, go from one place to another,
Mhm.
wash hands,
What would-
social things.
Yeah, social things. So what would be a product grade?
Although we don't give grades for products, but we do things like make a diorama, or we might make a picture, draw a dinosaur,
Okay.
write a story,
So
measure
reading,
something.
writing, math maybe,
Yeah.
right? So, oops, there we go. So a product grade is an academic grade. It's when we get up to secondary and onto university, it's our A, B, C, D, F grades, right? It's the mastery of standards. Whereas our process grades are about behavior. So as Lisa was mentioning, washing your hands, maybe how you interact with other students, right?
Effort.
Effort, it's about citizenship. It's our SLOs, right? So it's an ongoing process. So when we're looking at a product grade, it's final. That's your semester grade, right? That's where you're at the end of the semester. But a process grade is ongoing. So if you think about process grades, are kind of like social emotional learning. So social emotional learning is the process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. So these are the 5 pillars of social emotional learning. Self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, responsible decision-making. If you think about these, how might these, and I can't get the work, but how might these relate to our student learner outcomes, just off the top of your head? So how might, yeah.
Social awareness is definitely being involved global citizens. Same with the relationship skills.
Relationship skills, definitely. Yeah. Any others that you can think of? How does that relate? Yeah, go for it.
Self-awareness is the academic achievers.
So being responsible for your own learning,
Yep.
enthusiastic for your futures, right? Yeah. So a lot of what we talk about when we're talking about our student learner outcomes is social emotional learning. We're kind of gauging our students' ability of their social emotional awareness, how they are aware of themselves, how they self-manage, time and turning in assignments on time, or how they are socially aware with their interactions with their peers, right? So our SLO rubric, something that we've been working on for over a year now, right? We started with our matrix that we're going to look at today. But our rubric, at one point, we had all of our our behavioral skills, and we had them in the center. Because we were thinking, they need to meet these skills. But if we're looking at this as a process grade, it's ongoing, right? It's not like, oh, okay, they're an academic achiever, check, done. No. The idea is actually that they are continually working on this. Unlike a product grade, which is like, I passed that class, I'm moving on to, I went from algebra to geometry, right? So now, social emotional learning is a continual process. We continue this into adulthood, etc. So instead of looking at our student learner outcomes as they've met them, we need to look at them as an ongoing process. So when we are analyzing our students' ability to achieve the student learner outcomes, we want to look at it more on a scale of how often do they do these? Is it sometimes? Is it usually? Is it always? Right?
Only with help.
So that would be more like a sometimes, right? Yeah. So, and it's not that we have a never, because we want to be positive. Our students can sometimes do these things, but how often are they doing them? And we'd like to see them always working to achieve these things. So when we are looking at our matrix, we want to think about these behavioral achievements and competencies as being behavioral and not as a product of their academic ability. So, and I screenshotted this from the grade 9 through 12 rubric. So we're looking at this is what we had down initially when we were thinking about it as like academic achievements, right? So true seekers display problem-solving skills, decision-making skills, and conflict-resolving skills. We put these down, and I was part of this group, so I'm exposing myself in this as well. We said, oh, math problems, yeah, inquiry-based activities, tribes activities, cooperative learning. But those aren't really social emotional behaviors, right? Those are products. Those are things that they end up doing. We say, awesome, they get an A, yeah? So instead, we want to see something more along the lines of students recognize a problem and work to find a solution, right? Students make decisions and find solutions rather than avoiding problems. Or students talk to their peers to resolve conflicts. So the idea, though, in the matrix that we have is that those behaviors look different from pre-K to grade 12, right? So initially we were looking at it as general behavior. We were thinking like, what does this look like? And we didn't have a specific scope to deal with, like how should we really, how do we assess this? But if we're thinking about the student learner outcomes as a process grade, it should be based on observations of their behavior. So when we as teachers observe grade 1, what does being a true seeker who displays problem-solving skills look like, right? Versus in grade 12. Yeah? So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at that matrix, and we're going to see what can we fix here so that we're really emulating grade level behavior and social emotional awareness and how they achieve those student learner outcomes. So in pre-K, what is being an academic achiever who pursues excellence in all things? What does that mean? And it shouldn't be subject specific. It should be something they could do in any class. They might not do it in every class, but they should be able to do it in every class. Does that make sense? So what you're going to do is you're going to look at that matrix, which we have already worked together as a group before, right? But now we're going to review it, and we're going to look at our grade level groupings, right? So we have EY, K through 3, 4 through 6, 7, 8, 9 through 12. So you're going to work with your group. And I want to ask LAMPS teachers and anyone who might have multiple grade levels to just choose a grade that you're comfortable with, grade level that you're comfortable with. And hopefully we spread those out, right? Get them all over the place. So, and then edit those, so you have, that is a document, that is a live document in OneDrive that you can work right on. So go in and make sure that we're not basing it based on a particular subject or an academic skill, but how can we make it a behavior that they should be achieving at grade level? So that we can look at the process by which they're able to show their awareness of how to be a true seeker in this sense.
Do you want steps, like individual steps, or just the end result?
It should be just like, so if I'm saying that, random student, I'm just gonna say, if I'm saying that Tommy is a true seeker who displays problem solving skills, I'm gonna say he's shown that by doing one of these things. Right? By at least doing one of these things. I can say that he is
Some pieces.
right. So it should look something like this. And I'm not saying this is perfect or that this is final, but this is more on the path to developing our students as social emotional beings, as well as their academic achievements. Right? So our student learner outcomes are something that we look at as the whole person. Right? We're not just looking at how they do in math class or how they do in English class or whatever, but how is the whole person working to achieve these things. Yes? So I'm going to give you time to just work in your groups and go through that matrix. Because what you put on the matrix, we then put into our individual rubrics for grade levels. So everything that's on that matrix, we're copying and pasting into this part so that you can say, oh, so-and-so does this on a regular basis, pretty much most of the time, so I'm going to say usually. And that would be how we document our students' ability to achieve the student learner outcomes. Okay? All right, so choose your group if you don't have a specific grade level, otherwise grade levels get together. You can have multiple people working on the document or just one, but everyone should be talking and contributing to what those behaviors and outcomes look like. K, early years, K through 3, 4 through 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
¿Dónde?
You go where?
We can go upstairs to my office.
I go up. If we're not confounded.
No, that's the separate.
We go to my office.
Example, you go to.
No, where?